In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing 4 different brands of toe socks: Vibram, Injinji, ToeToe and Spacer Mobility. I purchased my first ever pair of toe socks over a year ago now, so this video is definitely overdue. I'm really looking forward to sharing all the benefits of them with you, also potentially some of the downsides, the general price range of them, where I purchased them from and all that kind of good stuff. And then towards the end of the video, I'll share my personal favourite brand. If you do enjoy the contents of this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate your support. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me. So if you're new here, my name is Meg. Welcome to Red Curl Vegan. If you're already subscribed or you've stumbled across my videos in the past, then you may be aware of my love and passion for barefoot shoes and all things healthy feet. So today's topic is toe socks. I've been wearing them exclusively now for almost 12 months. So in line with being an exclusive barefoot shoe wearer for over 2 years now, I just felt like toe socks was sort of the next step and natural progression in my overall healthy foot journey. As always, I will be giving a very honest opinion of them, so that may include some aspects that I think might be downsides for some people, just things to make you aware of before you go out and potentially buy half a dozen pairs of toe socks. I'm not affiliated with these brands in any way. In fact, none of the videos on my channel have ever been sponsored by any brands or any of the things that I talk about. I just want to raise awareness and hopefully help people to lead healthier lives. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so 4 different brands of toe socks. I do have them all laid out here in front of me. I actually own a total of 13 pairs and some of them are duplicates, so I won't be showing each individual pair, but I will give you a general overview of each brand and the different styles and designs, and I'll pop clips and photos up on the screen as well, just that you've got a good idea of what each pair looks like on my feet. So I think I'm going to start with the Injinji brand. So the Injinji brand is a California-based company. Trying to find this brand in the UK was really quite difficult. I personally didn't want to pay the postage fees for shipping them across from the US, and also from a sustainable point of view, it's a bit of a long journey for pairs of socks. So I did a lot of research before transitioning over to toe socks, which, as I said at the beginning, was almost 12 months ago now, and I came across this website called Feetus. So I'm based in the UK and the Feetus website is a UK based website, so they're a retailer that specialise in all things healthy feet basically. They also do footwear and accessories, but in the main they are known for their wide variety of toe socks. So the Injinji brand, like I said, is an American company, but this retailer, Feetus, sell a lot of Injinji socks in all sorts of different styles and designs. So as I said, I'll pop their website in the description box. I'm not going to run through each one, but the general price range of Injinji socks tends to range from 8 to 16, 18 pounds, so they're quite expensive. So I've got a trail mid-weight crew running pair here. So they sort of come up just above the calf. These are really nice and thick, and they're really soft and comfortable. So that's what they look like. Hopefully you can see the full length of them on camera. As I said, you'll get a better idea of them on their website, but obviously I want to show you the ones that I own. And then I've also got this trail midweight mini crew running pair in herb green. This is my favourite colour, khaki green. These sit just above the ankle. They've got a nice thick ankle cuff. These are pretty heavyweight, so yeah, they're classed as mid-weight, so I wouldn't say that they're thin socks, but yeah, very comfortable. I've got another pair of them that I haven't actually worn yet. And then I've also got these liner lightweight Coolmax crew socks. So the names all might get a bit complicated in this video, so I'll do my best to remember them all. I've got my book in front of me here, but yeah, the names are all quite similar, so it can be a bit confusing. But this is in an agave green. Not as much of a fan of the colour of these as these ones, but these come up, so yeah, a mid-crew basically. These are liner socks, so they're very thin. I think they're these are the thinnest pair that Injinji do. So I've got 2 of those as well. So whilst I wear exclusively toe socks now, I no longer wear conventional socks. I do still own thicker pairs of conventional mainstream normal socks, which I wear over the top of my toe socks in the winter, for example. I always make sure that my skin is in contact directly with toe socks, if that makes sense, and if I do need additional layers, because it can be quite difficult to find boot socks and thicker toe socks, I will still reach for my conventional socks and wear those over the top. This is the Run Midweight Mini Crew running socks in black and grey. So again, they come up just above the ankle, very comfortable, not my favourite colour and style, and again they're a specialist sock which I don't necessarily have much of a use for, but they are nonetheless super comfortable. So I'll link the Fitas website and also potentially the Injinji website in the description box down below, so I recommend you go and check that one out. Okay, so moving on now to Spacer Mobility. Now I did actually review their toe spacers a couple of months ago, so if you're interested in sort of the full package, then I'll link that video in the description box or either at the end of this video. They only do 2 pairs of toe socks and they are very similar, but they do all sorts of other equipment and strengthening sort of things that you can use for your feet. So they are really specialists in foot health, but they do only do 2 pairs of toe socks. Now, the 2 pairs are both £15 and I own both pairs. So they do what they call a grip all-day stride toe socks. As you can see, they've got the little sticky pads on the bottom, and then just the standard all-day strides as well. So these are the same price, both £15. And I will say I am a little bit disappointed because whilst this is the first pair that I bought, actually yeah, I forgot to say that, this is the first brand that I ever purchased, they've already got a quite big hole in the bottom there, as you can see in the sole of the foot there, which is a real shame. And then on the other one, or is it on the same one, they've also got a massive rip as well in the little toe there, which is a real shame. So yeah, they've got the hole in the sole and a whole massive rip between the little pinky toe and the other toe. So yeah, for the price of them, I'm quite disappointed. I do get a lot of use out of them, but I wouldn't say any more use than the amount I used to wear conventional and mainstream socks, which would take me years to put holes in them. I've only had these for, well, under a year. I have now just sort of resorted to wearing these as house socks just because of the sticky pads. I prefer to be barefoot when I can, but I don't like getting my feet super dirty around the house. Anyway, so I wear these as toe socks because I don't wear slippers, so I'm guessing they're getting a lot of wear now because the colour and the sort of design of them isn't really a sort of look that I love as much as my other pair. So yeah, I've sort of put them to house socks, if that makes sense. And then these, I sometimes wear them if I go walking or if I go to yoga, for example. So they're not necessarily sports specific, but I do get the feeling that toe socks are very much advertised and marketed as made for sports, but really they should be for everyday wear because the theory of them is exactly the same. So I'm going to run through quickly the last 2 brands and then I'll share, I'll get onto the good part, which is all the benefits of them. Okay, so moving on now to the Vibram toe socks. I also purchased these on the Fitas website with the Injinji socks. I'm not sure whether you can get these in many retailers in the UK, but it just felt right to support that one retailer and sort of getting them from one place and pay the one lot of postage rather than getting them from lots of different websites. So yeah, these are the 5-toe athletic no-show socks in military green. Absolutely love this colour. It's the only pair of socks apart from these green Injinjis that I've managed to find in a green that I actually really like. Yeah, they're pretty simple. They've got a little wing at the back there, Vibram logo on the side, fairly basic, and then also the 5-toe ghost low profile socks as well. So these are the ones that you can wear with like sneakers and pumps that you can't see the socks, so it's like open front, if that makes sense. So like invisible socks, I'm not quite sure what else you'd call them, but yeah, they've got the Vibram logo on the bottom there. I'll put that up the right way. Fairly basic, not much to say about them. So these ones were £8, well they're currently £8.55. They're out of stock at the moment actually. They are in the sale generally on Fitas website, and these were £9.49. So yeah, between £8 and £10 roughly. So again, quite expensive. I'm going to move on now to the final brand, which is ToeToe. A bit unsure still about this sort of retailer or this brand of toe socks, because they claim to be like the leading UK retailer, the leading designers in toe socks, but my personal opinion of the quality of them isn't that great, but what they do that's much better than other brands is a wide range of essential socks, so sort of everyday plain socks, so not sports focused, not, you know, specific specialist socks like the Injinjis, for example, which sort of puts the price point up of them, immediately goes up. So ToeToe have quite a huge range. Again, I'll link their website in the description box. I have already worn some of these, so these are the only ones with any packaging left because I haven't worn them yet, but I've got these outdoor liners, so again, technically a little bit like the green Injinjis. These are the thinnest pair that they do, which you can wear under other socks. Yeah, they're basic, just black ankle socks basically with the ToeToe logo on there. And then I've also got a standard crew pair again in this sort of dark emerald green, little ToeToe logo on the side. They're just fairly standard, nothing particularly fancy. Like I said, this is their essential range, as they call it. And then I've got a pair of plain black ankle socks here. They do slightly come up just a little bit above sneakers, so they're not like the ghost ones or invisible pair. But yeah, they don't rise as high as the Injinji crews here. So just one pair of those basic ones there. And then I've also got a pair of knee-high ones, which is the only company I've found to do knee-high toe socks. I think they also do tights as well and over the knee socks. So in terms of the range, they are a really great company, but just in terms of the quality, they're not as soft as the other socks. So these are cotton, and technically once you've washed them a couple of times, they should soften, but I don't know, they sort of pick up, they've sort of started bobbling really quickly. I don't know if you can see that on camera, it might be a bit difficult because they're black socks. But they've started bobbling quite a bit already, and I don't know, they just seem to be wearing out in the footbed, considering I've only worn them a couple of times, because I've really been using the Injinjis the most, and then these I bought a lot later, so really only a couple of months ago if I'm honest. But you can see sort of in the heel they're starting to roughen up, and they just don't feel very soft. They feel a little bit scratchy compared to the others, so I don't know why that is, but in terms of the range, they're a lot better than the other brands. The Injinjis, the Vibrams, Space for Mobility, they're, like I said, all very sports orientated. They're quite specialist socks, but they are a lot softer. So the materials are different, granted, that would sort of, you know, affect the difference in softness, but yeah, I just think it's important to give like an honest review of them. The range of socks that they have is amazing. The fact that they do knee-high socks, the fact that they do over-the-knee socks and tights, and they've got really colourful rainbow pattern stripy socks. They've got a huge range, and they are a UK company as well, so that's really good. But in terms of the comfort, I don't know, I just find them a little bit scratchy, possibly they could be a bit softer, but also they are a lot cheaper. So I'm going to move on to the benefits now. I hope that you haven't fallen asleep. Tried to run through them as briefly and quickly as possible, so let's get into the best part. Moving on now to the most important part of the video, and that is the benefits of toe socks and why you should wear them. So much like zero drop or minimalist or barefoot shoes, which allow your feet to move freely and work in their natural way, toe socks do the same thing. So because effectively each toe is individually wrapped, they allow your toes to splay into their natural position as they should without being restricted into tight pointy socks which aren't toe shaped. And then they also allow for the weight of your body to be distributed evenly. Not only that, but because the toes are individually wrapped, they prevent skin on skin friction, they prevent blisters, they prevent odour because they are made of moisture wicking material, and there's no build up of moisture in between the toes, there's no friction, there's no rubbing, and so yeah, not only do they work from an ergonomic and movement perspective, but they also are really beneficial from a hygiene point of view. So much like if you imagine wearing a pair of gloves where each finger is individually wrapped effectively, if you imagine putting them in one tight little pocket with no room for the fingers to move around, and then you stuff them, I don't know, in some hard box of some description. I'm just trying to make up a comparison between your toes and your hands, basically. Then you imagine putting that in cold weather, the circulation would be terrible. You know, you can just sort of picture how that wouldn't be good for your fingers. The same thing goes for your toes. So in cold weather, the last thing particularly, well, just in general, but particularly in cold weather, the last thing we want to be doing is sort of pushing our toes together in tight, pointy socks and then stuffing them into conventional mainstream shoes, which are also rigid and they've got really thick soles and they don't allow any freedom of movement for your toes or your feet, and they're also pointy and not foot shaped. It's just yeah, a disaster, basically. So you can wear barefoot shoes. I've reviewed lots on my channel already, and continue to wear conventional normal socks, and that's fine. Obviously, you know, that's what I've done for several years. But to really get the full benefit and to get the full package, so to speak, I definitely recommend toe socks. So like I said, I'm not affiliated with the brands in any way. I've purchased all of these socks with my own money. I'm not sponsored by them. I just want to make people aware of how bad conventional and mainstream normal socks and shoes are for our feet, and how terrible it is that those companies knowingly sort of produce all of this footwear, which is really bad for us and results in people, you know, ending up with deformed feet. I visited my grandma the other day and I was horrified to see her feet. She had like these little sandals on, and one of her toes at this point was literally overlapping her other toes. I couldn't bring the subject up with her because, you know, she's of a particular age now and I know that she's set in her ways, but it just made me really sad because she's a family member that I care a lot about, and I know that it's not a conversation she would be particularly open to, and she'd probably just sort of say, oh well, it's too late now, I'm in my 80s, and she might even come up with an excuse as to why her toes are like that, other than the fact that she's worn constrictive pointy shoes her whole life. But anyway, I digress. Basically, the purpose of this video is really to try and encourage people to see the benefits of going back to more natural ways of living. So technically socks and shoes aren't, you know, well, they're not how we were born, but technically they're a fairly modern thing. But because of the environments that some of us live in, you know, we're not able to walk barefoot everywhere, sadly, as much as I would love to. So I really just want to raise awareness to things that we can do, even, you know, I'm in my 30s, I've only just started on this journey really in the last couple of years, but it's definitely a worthwhile investment. So yes, let me just read it off of here just to make sure. When your toes are separated, properly aligned and splayed, it distributes your weight evenly, which allows your entire foot to be engaged in any athletic activity. Each toe is protected, skin on skin friction is eliminated, protecting your foot from blisters and just as important, hot spots as well. So obviously this will keep odour to a minimum as well. And yeah, your foot will be drier and a lot more comfortable. So I can definitely vouch for how comfortable they were. I was a little bit concerned when I first purchased them that having individual fabric, so to speak, in between your toes would be really uncomfortable, that they would actually rub, but I can definitely vouch for the fact that they are more comfortable than conventional shoes, than conventional normal socks. And in fact, much like when my barefoot shoe journey started over 2 years ago, I then found it very difficult to put my feet back into conventional socks. Now I'm going to move on to the potential downsides and maybe disadvantages of toe socks. I hope that you haven't fallen asleep. I'm doing my best to run through this as quickly and concisely as possible, and then I'll share my favourite brand and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so the potential downsides that you might need to be aware of before purchasing toe socks. First of all, I always recommend that you do your own research. I am just an average person who's purchased all these things with my own money, and I just try and raise awareness as much as possible, but obviously I'm not medically or even sports trained, you know, to give official advice. This is just my own personal experience. So the first thing that I would say is definitely the cost of them. They are on average between £8 and £16 per pair, which is a lot for a pair of socks. But you have to consider the investment in your health and overall, you know, how much better they are for your body long term, basically, because you're technically looking at your life long term. So I will say the cost of them is something that I had to rethink initially. I didn't go on this journey overnight, much like my barefoot shoes. I had to transition gradually. I've pretty much always been on minimum wage all of my life. I don't come from any money, I don't have a lot of money, and so buying barefoot shoes, which are also very expensive, and then also transitioning to toe socks, which are more expensive than conventional shoes, has not been an overnight process. So the cost of them was a downside for me personally. It's something that I had to do gradually. It didn't happen overnight. I had to sort of hand some of my nicest fancy bamboo socks onto a friend in order to prevent as much waste as possible. So whilst I do encourage people to wear barefoot shoes and now encourage people to wear toe socks, I don't advocate for waste. And I definitely don't suggest or advocate that you go out and buy a load of toe socks and throw all your old socks away, unless they were, you know, completely hanging on by a thread. I would always recommend that you try and get them recycled with a company that, you know, recycles fabric or puts them to some sort of use, or you hand socks on to maybe somebody, you know, a friend or someone that can make use of them. But I definitely don't encourage waste. So yeah, the financial aspect meant that this wasn't an overnight transition for me. I'd probably say the second disadvantage could potentially be that they take about 20 seconds longer to put on than conventional normal socks. Obviously normal socks, you're just pinning them on, pull them up, and that's it. Whereas toe socks, you have to fit each toe in individually. I have tried doing like an alignment and pulling them up all in one go, which very rarely happens. So yeah, potentially the amount of time that they take on could be a disadvantage to some people, but you know, we're talking 10-20 seconds. I'd say maybe the third thing to consider is that because they're a niche product, unfortunately, much like barefoot shoes, they're not going to be available everywhere. So you are sort of restricted to a handful of brands and a handful of retailers like myself based in the UK. It was really quite difficult to find these brands widely, you know, they're not widely available. So retailers and websites, like Fetus are a really good option. But again, like I said at the beginning, these are fairly specialist socks. They are really designed and advertised as trail running socks, sports socks. So not everyday basic, you know, a 5-pack of socks that maybe we can buy on the high street for £5, I don't know, for example. Whereas the ToeToe brand, like I said, do offer a really good essential low budget range. So yes, the cost of them, potentially the amount of time that they take to put on as opposed to conventional socks, and the fact that they're not as readily available as conventional socks. I mean, obviously you can buy a pair of normal socks in pretty much any shop anywhere, whereas toe socks is unfortunately still a niche specialist sort of thing, so they're not readily available. I think that's pretty much the only disadvantages I can think of. I mean, potentially you could sort of feel that they look a bit silly, that they look strange, that you might get weird stares, but technically they'll be in shoes. Your feet will be in shoes when they're on, when the socks are on your feet. So I don't know, I did consider that initially, whether they looked a bit weird, whether people would be staring at them thinking, you know, what is she wearing? What is this clown doing? But actually I don't really care. I'm seeing more and more people now wearing barefoot shoes, and even the Vibram 5-toe shoes, so like actual shoes that have got the individual toes. They look slightly weird, I guess, but I really like that I'm seeing more and more people, you know, understanding the damage that conventional, normal, mainstream socks and shoes do to our feet. So yeah, I guess potentially you could add a fourth one on the end saying that they look a bit strange, but I guess it all really depends on what's important to you and what you're willing to invest in. Like I said, this hasn't been an easy transition for me. I'm not in a financial position to be able to just go out and buy all of this stuff overnight and get rid of all my other shoes and socks and you know, not worry about it. It's been a huge investment, and I've had to sacrifice a lot of other purchases in order to be able to do this. But like I always say in my barefoot shoe videos, I really feel passionate and strongly about people realizing the damage of conventional shoes. Our feet are really, really important. You know, they are the connectors to the rest of our body. They affect how our knees function, how our hips function, how our posture in general functions, and how our general mobility, whether that works smoothly. So I know that might sound a lot just for toe socks, but really you want to be trying to allow your toes and your feet to spread and splay and move and bend and twist in the most natural way possible. And because in this day and age, unfortunately, a lot of us can't walk around barefoot, we have to find, you know, the next best thing. And the next best thing is zero drop or minimalist shoes and barefoot toe socks. Okay, so to wrap this video up, finally, I do apologise if this has gone on a long time. My favourite brand is Injinji. So I have been holding this pair of socks pretty much throughout the whole video, but yeah, I will have to say that Injinji is my favourite brand. I wish that they did a more essential basic range so that they weren't all like specialist socks, but the reason they're my favourite brand is they just feel like the highest quality basically. They're the softest, they're the most comfortable. I don't notice that I'm wearing toe socks as opposed to wearing conventional socks. I don't really feel any difference. In fact, I quite like having that feeling of each toe being individually wrapped. But yeah, the cost of them is a bit off-putting, but on the whole, they are my favourite brand. The Vibrams, they do seem to be wearing out quite quickly and they seem to bobble quite quickly, but I do really like them. These would be my second favourite brand, definitely. I can't find these sort of ghost socks in any other brand, so I would put these definitely in second place. The Space and Mobility ones, I'm going to put the Space and Mobility and the ToeToe socks both in third place, because I'm not happy obviously with the fact that these have a massive hole in the bottom already and that toe is ripped, and these are actually one of the most expensive pairs that I own. I'm not a massive fan of the colour, they don't do a great variety, but you know, I'm not dissing the company itself. I'm just a bit disappointed that they seem to have worn so quickly given the cost of them, and I would put these in third place as well alongside these. I can't really choose between the two. As I already said, they offer a great range of basics and essentials, which is something that's really lacking in the other brands. However, they are a little bit scratchy, they're not as soft as they could be, and they don't feel anywhere near as comfortable as the Injinjis. So there we go. Injinji, I would say for now, currently is my favourite brand of toe socks. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. I do apologise if it went on for a long time. I'm really grateful if you watched all the way to the end. I tried my best not to go off on a tangent, not to ramble too much. I tried to give you as much honest, transparent information as I possibly could, and you know, give you my honest opinion of them. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any comments for me or any positive, constructive, or even negative feedback, that's absolutely fine. Let me know down in the comments section. If there's anything you'd like to share about your own toe sock journey, yeah, that's right, or barefoot shoe journey, or anything relating to foot health, I would love to hear from you. I do my best to get back to everybody as quickly as possible. Again, I really appreciate your patience through my camera nerves. As I start filming more and more regularly, hopefully my anxiety on camera will get better. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any future videos from myself. Give this video a thumbs up, of course, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. In the meantime, take care and stay safe. Bye.